All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the FFL Sky's the Limit call. My name is Stephen Yee. I will be your host today. I'm very excited to be able to do this call because anytime that we can strengthen and help our agents get profitable, I'm in. You know what I mean? And recently, we've been working with ETHOS, one of our insurance carriers, on a partnership that they have some phenomenal things, and I just think that people don't know about them, which is the reason why people don't write them. And so that's our goal today, is to be able to have Nick Taylor, our carrier rep at ETHOS, share some of the wonderful things that they're doing over there. But not only that, I'm going to teach you what Janelle, my wife, and I have been doing, where we've been selling a lot of ETHOS complimentary on top of the products that we're selling right now. And I'll share that with you guys in a little bit. But Nick, buddy, you there? You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What's up, dude?
What's up, Steven?
How are you, bro?
Great. In
Man,
Bakersfield, super hot.
I don't know if it's hotter than Vegas. So, um, but anyways, hey, thank you for hopping on, man. I know we had a chance, a few weeks ago to have dinner and to be able to learn more about your guys' products and all the wonderful things you're doing for us. I know you guys are trying to break into our carriers and get some market share in the stuff that we do, and I'm excited for that. Can you kind of, share with everybody who doesn't know you, who you are, how you fell into ETHOS, how the ETHOS partnership with Family First Life came about, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so my name's Nick Taylor. I was actually a life insurance agent for about 3 years exactly. I did everything from face-to-face sales to over the phone, but the bread and butter for me was face-to-face. I I fell in love with ETHOS around December when I discovered it and I dove into the portal. And eventually that led me to join their team. Being an ex-agent, one of my goals is to make ETHOS the most friendly, agent-friendly carrier there is. 100%. That's it. Back in, I think, August is when they partnered with FFL. And I think one of the biggest reasons and most unique aspects about ETHOS and FFL is that it's truly a customer-facing portal that other carriers don't have, right? So you can send a client a link, your unique specific ETHOS link, and the customer can apply for life insurance by themselves, and the agent gets paid the same amount of comp. And it's a no-brainer, right? Like, it makes so much sense to have customers be able to apply for life insurance on their own. What I'll do today, Stephen, in the time we have, is I'll just go over the basics of ETHOS, how to use it, how to sell it, what it actually is. I'll show some really cool perks and really unique tools that agents can use for their clients and that can help them with their business. And yeah. Is it okay to share my screen?
I believe so. You should be good to go.
It says disabled participant screen share.
We should probably fix that. Dang it. Okay. Advanced sharing, host and panelist. All right. Try that again.
Cool, it works.
All right, sweet.
So what I'm doing is I'm just taking you into the agent portal. So every FFL agent is already contracted with ETHOS. If you go to agents.ethoslife.com, it'll take you there. There's no login. All you got to do is enter your phone number. It sends you a 6-digit code and you get into the portal. Before I dive into it, I want to explain what ETHOS is. So it's essentially 7 products, 4 carriers, and 1 application. Nice. What happens is when a client enters the application, the underwriting engine will kind of waterfall them to the correct product, right? So the buy box is huge. You can almost send your link to anybody, not anybody, but a good amount of people, and most of them will get an offer. Now, if they, activate it, that's one thing, but we're all about trying to have a product for essentially everybody, so everyone can get an offer. The carriers we work with are Legal and General, Emeritus, Senior Life, and True Stage. And the policies are anywhere from $2 million of term down to a few thousand in guaranteed issue. So no matter your health, there's going to be an offer. So there's 3 ways to sell Ethos. I'll go over the first one. If you go to your agent portal and go to share website down on the left. So every agent has their own unique agent website. So if I copy this link and I send it to you, Stephen, you'll be prompted with this screen on the right. Okay. If you hit get my rates and apply, like I said, whatever you apply for, if you activate it, I get paid the same commission as if I drove to your house and asked you a bunch of questions. So one cool thing that was added about a week ago to this Ethos portal was every agent now has their own unique QR code. Back in January, I actually paid for a QR code subscription website. It's like $8 a month. And I made my Ethos link. I paired it with my Ethos link. I went on Vistaprint. I got a big sticker made and I put it on my car. But now I don't need it because now there's a QR code that comes for free with for every agent. So if we hit email the site to client, just click the button, type in the email, or you can copy the link and text it to them. So then the second way to sell Ethos is the quoter. I can send a quote to you, Stephen, but let's just do it for myself, right? So if we go to start a new quote, we'll fill it out for myself. Fill out the birthday. I'm in California. Now for credit estimate, this can be confusing to agents because it's not something that is typically on a life insurance application. So what I recommend is always clicking average unless you know that, their credit's going to be pretty bad. And if you do need guidance, you can click the learn more and it'll tell you exactly what the criterias are. But to be safe, I'm going to do average. I'm a non-smoker. And then the health class estimate, I want to be safe as well. So I'm going to hit standard. If you go down here, there's a power quote option. I recommend always toggling this power quote because it will generate the BMI, and the BMI will have an effect on the quote. We get my BMI, and then there's 2 checkboxes. So if you do know that your client has any of these, disabled, chronic, severe, uncontrolled medical conditions, severe diabetes, or any criminal history, go ahead and click that box. But for my case, I do not. So we'll hit view results. And we will see up here, it's just the information that I put in. Right here, it's the most likely to be approved. So we have the Ethos Term Life. So based on the average credit and the standard health class, I can still apply for the $2 million term. Let's go to 1 million. So if right here, we got the 30 years for $130 a month. The cool thing about this though, is that if my situation is better than what I thought it was, if my health is better and I actually qualify for preferred or preferred plus, it will make this price cheaper. But it will also, if my health is much worse than I thought, this can be affected as well in the opposite direction. So if we go ahead and go to continue, fill out my information. and we can send the quote to the client. Now, what's going to happen is they're going to see this on the right. They're going to see $130.19 a month, $1 million in coverage for 30 years. They can go ahead and apply by themselves. Don't have to talk to anybody. And if they activate it, I get paid. So then the third and final way to sell Ethos, and my favorite way, because I was an agent and this is what I was used to, is on the left, we have the agent assisted application. So if we click that, just answer some questions as an insurance agent, hit I agree, fill out the location, confirm that you have a license to sell in that state, and go ahead and type in their email. Now, what this does is it just sends the client an email saying an agent is starting an application on your behalf. Hit OK. And we go into the application. So one cool thing about the application is typically, with agents doing the financial inventory and gathering all the data up front, one thing that Ethos has done to help agents understand their products much better and to be confident that their client will get approved before they even start an application is if you go down to resources on the bottom left, go to products, we have a field underwriting and product guideline, and also an Ethos term knockout grid. So the term knockout grid is going to be essentially, on the left, we have all the illnesses and conditions, and on the right, it's what happens within the Ethos engine when that client has that condition. So if we go to the most common, let's say diabetes. If your client has diabetes, it's going to route to Ethos Select, which is still a term product. It's the third tier term if it's non-insulin and diagnosed prior to age 31 and currently controlled. So then if we go down to high blood pressure, let's say another super common medical condition, if the client requires hospitalization or emergency care within the past 3 years, or requiring treatment with 4 or more medications, it's routed to Ethos Select, which is also a term product. And as you can see, there's a ton of illnesses and conditions you can go through, and exactly what happens within the Ethos underwriting engine when that client has that condition. And then the other underwriting guideline, which is really cool, is on the top bar, we have all the products. So Ethos Term Life Prime is going to be that $2 million term. It's the best risk class. The second best risk class for the term is Spectrum, and the third is Select. After that, we have the final expense, the True Stage increasing term, the True Stage whole life, and the guaranteed acceptance. We have the carriers that these products are for. So we have legal in general, senior life, the age limits. And then we have right here, financial and credit history. So if you are confused about that credit option on the quoter, if you go to here, it'll tell you exactly if their credit's decent, if it's fair, if they are a candidate for this product. Down here, another cool thing is we have payment methods. So some products, you can do debit, credit, account, and routing number. Some you can pay monthly. Others, you can pay monthly, quarterly, biannually, and annually. And then right here, we have available riders and perks. And that's the last thing I want to show you guys is, with the exception of the True Stage products, every Ethos policy comes with an estate planning tool. Now, about a year ago, Ethos purchased a company called Tomorrow, and it was basically a digital estate planning suite. And what Ethos decided to do with it is offer it for free for all policyholders, with the exception of some TrueStage products. And actually, there's 2 states, I think it's South Dakota and Washington, where it's not available. So a little information about the estate planning suite. We go over here. Some of the things that it comes with. You have a legal will, a living trust, power of attorney, medical consent, and healthcare directive. And on the right, we see what the client sees when they activate their estate planning. So this first part is the trust. This is what they're going to see if they decide to pick a living trust. These are the questions that are going to be asked, or this is what it's going to look like. We have the healthcare directive, and then how it works. So it's fully integrated at no additional cost. It's super easy to set up. It takes about 15 minutes, and they can update their plan at any time with no cost. We have some objection rebuttals, just some, I haven't gotten around to estate planning. I don't know how to get an estate plan. It's too expensive. Well, with Ethos, it's free. And then some frequently asked questions. So they can't be sold on their own. Agents can't do it for the client, but they can talk about it with them. And these are the exclusions for the policies. So South Dakota and Washington and TrueStage. And then what happens if a client cancels their Ethos policy? They won't be able to update their estate planning, but they can still keep it. So that was just a brief overview of some super cool tools Ethos offers. I do want to mention a few other things. There is an IUL coming out. It's going to be awesome. I've seen the demo, and it's super smooth, super sleek. We're going to be doing some training on it soon as it gets closer to rolling out. Also, right now, for these, let me show you these products. So for Ethos, Term Life Prime, and Spectrum, up until July 31st, if you write 7,500 AP with these 2 products, there's a 25% bonus. There are some persistency qualifications that I'm not sure of off the top of my head, but yeah, it's 25%, which is awesome.
Very awesome.
So yeah, that's the most that I got, Steven.
Well, I appreciate you. And we do have a bunch of questions that we're going to have people ask and go over, and we'll dive into those. But, one of the things I wanted to talk about is, a lot of us sell mortgage protection. I mean, you sell mortgage protection, right? Like, yeah. By the way, for those that don't know, Nick used to work at Family First Life before he became the carrier rep. And so here's the cool part. Like, if some of you guys have heard me sell mortgage protection before, I've always asked the client, hey, who's on the loan? Who's on the title? Do you have a trust? And like 99% of people don't have a trust. And if you haven't watched that training video on why I tell that story, is because people end up in probate court, like myself. Like, I'm still in probate court. It's been 15, 16 months or whatever it is since we started the case. And I can't sell my house in California, right? The reason why, kind of like what Nick was talking about, is most people don't even know where to get a trust, because it usually requires getting an attorney. It's also usually $1,500 to $2,000, right? And then they got to notarize and do all that stuff. So it takes a lot of time. But here's what happens is, if your clients don't have that, they're automatically in probate. And so everybody goes, hey, like, doesn't a will suffice? No, it doesn't. That's why wills are free, right? Like, you can get a will anywhere. But like you guys are one of the, well, you guys not one of, you guys are the only company that I know of that will give you a trust for free, a living trust for free with a will and advanced care directive and all that stuff, just by being a customer to your clients, right? And so for me, let me share with you guys as the agents how I've been using it and putting it together. So Janelle will sell some insurance, right? We'll run mortgage protection leads, whatever it may be. And we'll have a client, regardless if it's 30, 40, or 50 years old. We really don't care. We'll go, hey, we'll put the AmeriCorps product to pay off the house or whatever it is, right? Like this is your mortgage protection. But Bob, because you're 42 years old and you make 60, 70,000 a year, we're going to take your income and multiply it by 10, 15 years. Why? Because your wife, you guys have young kids. If something were to happen to you, they're going to need your income over the next 10 years, right? It is nice to have that AmeriCorps policy, whatever it is, to pay off the house. But guess what? Utilities still come in. Property taxes still come in. Who's going to pay for that? Especially if they're a stay-at-home mom, right? And so what we've been doing on our side is we'll sell an AmeriCorps product and add an ETHOS as a complementary income replacement policy, upwards of like 600, 700, even up to $1 million plus. And what happens is now they get two policies that serve the entire client. And here's the other thing. Let's talk numbers. Is it simple to replace any of our simplified issue terms? Yeah, but they're not going to be able to replace the ETHOS term, because where can they get 2 million with no blood, no urine, and actually get a preferred rating at a fraction of the cost? You see what I mean? And so what we've seen is the business that we're writing, where we add our primary carriers and complementing it with an ETHOS product, the business has been so solid. Like they have zero, like there's zero reason for them to cancel it. And then the selling point is you don't have your estate planning. You don't have a trust. Let's take the title of your home and put it in the trust. So God forbid you do pass away, you don't have to end up in probate like myself. And it's been the easiest lay down sale that I've ever had selling mortgage protection. And that's why I wanted to get our agents on here too, Nick, is to be able to teach them how to use you guys in the field. It's one thing to talk about all the product features, which is cute, right? Hey, we got this with it. But how do you use it? You know what I mean? And so like being able to use your guys' features, because, there's a few companies that we have that do up to $500,000. Show me a company that does up to $1 million, maybe $2 million on simplified, very quick, accelerated underwriting, right? Where they can get a decision basically today. Because we have a company that would do up to $2 million, but they take a while too. You know what I mean? So your guys' application process is easy. You guys have, like, I'm a tech nerd. And so like user interface, user experience is a big deal for me. And you guys have one of the most modern applications. And I know that someone asked the question about this. See, this is why I like ETHOS and I like working with Nick. So we had dinner like 2 to 3 weeks ago. And I go, hey, your signature process sucks. Flat out. Right, Nick? Like we were talking about this.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, what would you like us to do? And I'm like, why don't you guys do a text signature or a security question, just like the other 2 companies we work with? They're like, done. And literally, when I got on a sales call with their product development team, they're like, hey, before you tell us, we're already working on it. It'll be out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. You'll be able to control the entire application process from start to finish, where the client doesn't have to do anything. And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like being able to have a carrier listen to you and actually implement the very things that they're doing, that's a big deal. So like Lacey, I know one of the questions that you had was, being able to have not a client facing application, but an agent facing application where the agent can control the whole thing. That's what they're doing right now. You know what I mean? So the other thing that I wanted to talk about too is, having a high persistency, because when I complement it with one of the products that you guys have on top of the products that we write, we've always heard this in the industry. When you add 2 to 3 products onto a sale, it's very hard for the client to cancel because you bundled everything, right? It's like the guy that sells me my homeowner's insurance has my car insurance attached to it, right? It's the same thing we're doing here. We're covering the mortgage protection, and we can cover income replacement. We can cover, final expense, because you guys have a phenomenal final expense product too. So it strengthens your persistency, and it does not allow your business to be rewritten, because it's not possible. So, and then, one of the other things that I wanted to dive into as well, some of the key points that you were talking about is you have a final expense product that's GI. It's guaranteed issue, just like the 2 to 3 carriers that we have. It's pretty neat because it starts at age 45 and it is a whole life, right? The company we have starts at 50. It's the lowest death benefit is 2,000. It goes all the way up to 20, right? So like for those of you that know the other product that we're talking about, because I'm not going to pick on them, but you can't write that product more than once in a year. So like, let's say someone has a product for 15,000 with that company and they want to get another 10, they can't. I don't know why. It's a stupid rule. But with Ethos, I can go to you guys, add another 20,000, boom. Because a lot of times your GI clients want more insurance.
Yep.
And so being able to
a few years ago,
go
sorry to
ahead.
interrupt, but a few years ago, I actually ran behind you. The client had the guaranteed acceptance product. I could not help them because they pulled it out. They had like 15,000 in coverage. You wrote it. You wrote it in like December of 2018 or something, and I was there in like June of the next year.
Right.
I booked an appointment 6 months later to go back and write them the next 10,000.
Right.
And yeah, I had to wait 6 months, but
with Ethos, we're not going to have to do that. We can write it, today. And matter of fact, like one of our agents, I believe Colton, texted me this week and he goes, "Hey, surprise, surprise, I wrote, Ethos guaranteed issue." I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, it was actually a really simple process." So I appreciate you guys for working on that front. I'll dive into one more thing or a few more things. Everybody's trying to get an IUL product out there right now, right? And you guys are in the process of creating something really, really cool. It's very customizable, and that's what people don't understand is like with our express products that we have with these two companies that are competing with an IUL product, they're still table rated. They're still table 2, table 4, right? So if they're healthy, it really doesn't make any sense. Not only that, it's an easy solve. So they can't choose which indexing crediting strategies they want. Nick, can you talk about what you guys are doing on the IUL front that's going to come out and it's going to blow up the industry? It's going to mess everybody up.
Yeah, there's going to be essentially easy solve and also more customization if you choose. I saw the demo briefly, and there was a lot, so I don't want to get too into it because there was a lot of info when I saw the app, but it's going to be great in both aspects. If easy solve, if you're not too sure and you just want to be safe, and also pretty customizable as far as retirement or death or death benefit goes.
Right, because you're talking about if the agent or the client goes, "I don't know what I want." All right, cool. Just throw them an easy solve. Or if you go, "Hey, you know what? I want for example, S&P 500, 1 year point." Like you can be that customized in it. And the nice part is I'm assuming they're not going to draw blood and urine.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, yeah.
You still get a preferred rating or a super preferred, which is awesome. Because what other company that we have does that? None, right? So you guys are, pioneering the industry, and you guys are modernizing insurance and the way it's sold, and it's so awesome. And I'm excited to be able to see that product come out too. We have a few questions from agents that I want to get taken care of. Someone asked, accidental or living benefits coming? That was that we had.
Living benefits is something that we're always talking about. I don't know any date for sure, but we've gotten a lot of feedback from agents about living benefits, and it is something in the works. But I don't want to give out any dates or timelines.
But see, that's once again, Nick, why I love you, because we can go, "Hey, what about living benefits?" Because they're a big deal. And you guys are like, "Really? Okay, cool. Let's look into that." You know what I mean? Instead of like just killing the idea completely. "Hey, what about making the e-app more friendly for the agent?" Yeah, let's work on that too. Like, guys, this is the reason why I like them, right? Is because we'll be able to do that with a carrier and be able to get immediate feedback. So another question comes from Jamie. He says, "What's the process if a client wants to reduce or increase Ethos coverage during the first 30-day free look period?" Nick?
Yeah, so all policies come with 30-day free look, and they would just have to reach out to Ethos. Super simple. Ethos call the number and they can do it.
Sweet. Even better. Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions before I keep rambling on why I like Ethos? I know, Will Lore, you have your hand raised, but we can't really unmute you because of the Zoom webinar. I don't know, Will, if you want to type your question out in the Q&A or the chat, we'll be able to get to it. The other thing too, Nick, that I think you guys don't mention very often is y'all have a sandbox. You have a practice application. And see, that was one of the things that Janelle and I were screaming at him about during dinner. We were like, hey, more people would use your application if they actually knew how to use it. You're like, we have one. And we're like, what? So guys, they have a practice application in their portal, that you have a brand new agent, you want to see what the emails the clients are getting, whatever it may be, it's already in there. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is your guys' abandoned cart leads.
Oh yeah, I forget about those because I don't use them anymore, but yeah,
dude, they're fire. And the reason why we don't see CRM is because they're gone before we can even try to buy them.
Yeah.
And so just so you guys know, there's people that go to Ethos, they try to buy insurance on their own. And what happens is they don't follow through, right? And Ethos will put those leads in our ILC, our Integrity Lead Center, where you guys can call them and then just go push them through. I talked to one of the integrity partners recently on a trip, and they told me that that's the only lead they run right now. And the reason why is because they basically call the client, and you'd be surprised how stupid it is for them not to continue. Like literally, like the client, I remember one of them was like, the reason why I didn't finish the application was it didn't let me put all 6 of my children as beneficiaries. You know what I mean? But like, agent put that through, $200 a month. That's a nice little commission.
Yeah.
Right. And so like those abandoned cart leads have been magic. Because I know a lot of people that scream and shout about them because they've been great. So question from Colton: is there a quicker way to get an underwriting decision on policies that get sent to underwriting? I've had a client been underwriting for a couple months waiting on medical records.
I can look into that for you, because I want to say if the client has to send in medical records for some reason, then I would just encourage you to contact them and say, hey, you have to send something. But yeah, I can look into that for you offline.
Nick, if they wanted, if our agents wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you? Your phone number, email, whatever it is.
Email is probably the easiest, or phone number. I'll type them both.
Cool.
In the chat.
So nick.taylor@getethos.com, and phone number is 760-927.
And then an important additional answer to that question. So the only products that are going to ever require any type of paperwork is Prime, Ethos Prime. So every product has 100% instant decision. That one is 90% instant. Sometimes there are some things that Ethos will want to make sure about before issuing it. But that's going to be the only one. So the $2 million term, about 10% of the time, it's not going to be instant. It will go to manual underwriting. Ethos will never order anything additional, any new blood work, anything like that. They'll only ask for previous records.
Sweet. Good stuff. Well, Nick, I appreciate you, man. We look forward to sending you guys a lot more business, especially to be able to strengthen the existing book of business that we have, right? Y'all have heard me say this very many times. The business that stays is the business that pays, right? And when you're doing annual reviews, like I'm going to tell you guys this, I did an annual review, like in December, I was doing like annual reviews galore. And so I had a lot of clients that already had CBO. And so like one of my clients, she had we had a CBO policy for husband and wife, pay off the house, all that good stuff. And I was like, what traditional life insurance do you have for income replacement? And she was like, none. Like, I just have what you have. And I was like, boom, here's a $2 million insurance policy for like $100 a month. And like, they bought instantly. You know what I mean? So like, for those of you that have an existing client base, selling Ethos on top of your book does not hurt ever, right? Talking about the estate planning as an angle to be able to get in the door doesn't hurt ever. You know, being able to have, you know, a carrier that's going to be able to take feedback and work with you is always a great thing. So Nick, I appreciate you, man. I know you guys are working on some cool stuff. We can't wait to be able to see it all. But if y'all have any questions or you want to give him any feedback, feel free to email him, call him. That's what they're here for. So Nick, thank you for hopping on, taking time out of your day. Guys, if you have any questions,
thank you for having me.
So we'll see you guys soon. Be blessed, guys. Take it easy.